Hey there! Welcome to yet another saas Group AMA. I'm Anna, as always, Anna Nadeina, the head of growth, host of saas.unbound podcast, and now this thing, our live AMAs, where we bring awesome speakers anywhere from SaaS industry. And this time with me is Cristian Dina, a fellow podcaster. Great to see you here. We did a podcast together just recently, had a lot of fun. Thank you for the invite again. So, hey, great to see you here.
Thank you very much for inviting. I really enjoyed our conversation on the podcast. I think saas Group is doing amazing, and I was really impressed by your model and your numbers. So yeah, I'm
Thank you
super
so
happy to be here.
much. Oh, wow. It's great to hear. Thank you. I'm today actually streaming from Hamburg, from a beautiful OMR office and from an actual podcast studio, which is a great change to the usual setup. But yeah, I think maybe we should start with intros, right? Because you also come from a technical company, right? You guys started doing podcast for what? Well, tell me your story. How did you end up with a podcast?
Sure. So Alex, our CEO, started the podcast with the goal of networking, of building relationship and growing the company's trust. Because starting out as a marketplace, you need trust and you need a critical mass of users. So podcasting was really good for us. Then I came in to the company and I had a lot of questions. I asked maybe 30 questions a day to Alex, and I was making him desperate, let's say. But he was happy. He was always happy to answer me. And then he said, if you want to ask so many questions, why don't I let you be the podcast host? Get with these amazing founders, ask them all your real questions if you want to be an entrepreneur and want to learn and want to build a business. And that curiosity will be seen in the podcast. It will not be something like scripted or recorded. So basically,
Right.
that is the story of how we started. He did probably like 50 episodes, and I've done probably over 150 to 100, somewhere around that. We do 3 a week, so it's amazing. And yeah, I'm excited to join this session. Now,
Awesome. Yeah, I cannot keep up with you guys. Like, I mean, you do a lot of podcasts. We do 2 per week, and then, we added AMAs, but we're still not there. So great, pushing really, really hard on being the ultimate SaaS podcast, right? But what is Tekpon in the first place? What do you guys do?
Tekpon is a software marketplace that helps people find the right software for their business and also helps companies with getting more clients, collecting testimonials, and building their overall trust and managing their online reputation. So
Okay.
that is our mission. And yeah, we're super happy to work with so many SaaS companies. We love the industry, so many smart people. We go to conferences, and that's why networking is so important to us, being a marketplace.
Right. Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah, I think that's ultimately what we're doing is great for building trust, for building a brand, and just talking to founders as well, right? It's a great resource because like everyone's opening up about their challenges, what they're doing, where they're shipping, their experiences with companies that approach them to buy them too.
Yes.
Very important for us to know how they're doing this stuff. So okay. First things first, who was your favorite guest?
Favorite guest. I think maybe Rajesh Jain from Netcore. He bootstrapped to 100 million ARR, solo founder, bootstrap, profitable, and wanting to do the IPO in India. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that was an amazing story, and it got really well. So many people
Oh
wanted to
wow.
watch it, but we get so many amazing founders. I wanted to add something that right now we're writing a book on networking. It's
Oh.
called King of Networking. Me and Alex and 2 other special guests, Cristobal Alonso, the CEO of Startup Wise Guys, and Alex Teuma, the founder and CEO at SaaStock. And there we talked about networking from 4 perspectives and also mentioned the podcast. So for anybody that's interested in learning more about the podcast and why it helps you with the networking, please let me know and I'll send a copy of the book.
Okay, wonderful. I don't think I have mine yet, so
It's not launched yet,
please.
but yeah, we
All
have
right.
to talk about it before you launch it, right?
Right, absolutely. That's true. Okay, so wonderful. But So what we're actually also we thought about a book, but it's just too much work. Hashtag lazy. But how are you guys doing it? So spill the beans. How are you working with the content? Because again, when you were doing a podcast, the actual shooting of the podcast is just like the very beginning of
Yes.
the journey, and then you edit it, and then you post it, and then you before that or after that, you're also working with the podcast, right? With the footage that you got. So AI,
In the book?
yeah.
No, not really. We have an amazing head of content. We wrote the book ourselves, all four of us. Um, so no AI, just real experiences. We focus more on stories, not so much theory and stuff like that. We just wanted to share some stories from each person's perspective, because as people, that's what we remember: stories, not
Hmm.
necessarily formulas and tactics. Although these are welcome. So
Hmm.
no AI, but I think it's a mix of combining the people that are working on the book, perfectionists, and also the people that say just let's do it, we'll move forward, there will be mistakes. So I think that there's a combination of both. There are some
Yeah.
let's say mini arguments, but in the end that's how you build something great. You bring people from both sides of the spectrum, and yeah, you also get it fast, you get it with quality. And yeah,
Yeah.
that is our experience. But no, it's not. It doesn't make sense. Why should we put content that's not helpful to anyone just to be more pages? So
No, no, no. I mean, like, as in working with the content that you've got. Like, for example, for
thing
the
or
show notes, yeah,
yeah,
editing. I have this incredible tool that I use, and I have no shame about it. It's absolute magic. It's podium.page. I interviewed the founder. Absolutely great guys doing like serious magic. I'm absolutely serious about it. Like no other tool was able, and I've tried a lot. And actually, with a friend, we researched quite a bit of tools, and they were nothing compared to it. So, like, whenever I need to just like work
yeah.
on this huge piece of content, right? It's I think it's longer than yours, right? Our episodes are a bit longer, like 45 minutes.
That was my mistake. I thought you were talking about the book and AI. But if you're referring to podcasts and AI, yes, we are using a tool. It's called Cast Magic. It basically,
Okay.
you just input the YouTube link, then it transcribes it, feeds it into ChatGPT, and then you have different prompts like create me a social post,
Yeah.
takeaways, summary. So I think it's very similar to the tool you mentioned. I think this is a
Yeah.
great
Yeah. Yeah.
opportunity, and there are a lot of tools that are leveraging the open API of OpenAI. And
Mm,
yeah, I really love those tools, because at some point you get bored of doing the same
right.
uh,
It's just oh.
posts and templates, and yeah, it really helps out.
Yeah, yeah. We were trying to calculate with the founder of Podium. We were trying to calculate like how much time it would take to edit just by myself without
Yeah.
the tool. But what cool thing they're doing is now I think it's in like beta right now, but still you will be able to just upload like a whole bunch of your like a whole season and make a book out of it. So that was the question, like, are you
Mm.
doing that? Did you get there first?
Yeah, and I understand. No, I haven't thought about that, but I wanted to ask you: is this tool part of the saas group?
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Okay.
But maybe, hopefully, I don't know. They're really, really cool.
Yeah,
Very early in the game, but that just makes it so much more amazing because they're doing a great job.
absolutely.
Uh, but yeah, well, about saas group actually, they also raised money. That's why I'm also saying like not yet. Um, we are pivoting our vision towards um, even the company. So at first, saas group was a serial buyer acquiring bootstrap SaaSes, right?
Yes.
And now we're going away from that a little bit. We're acquiring bigger companies. So yeah, a possibility to maybe acquire Podium at some point, but fingers crossed. Like I said, really cool guys. But yeah, we've talked with a lot of founders, right? You did what you said, 100, 150.
Yes.
I did, I think, throughout my podcast, because this is not the first one, also around 100. Um, what have you noticed? Like, are there any traits? Are there any similarities in what founders are talking about? Like, how they become successful, how they deal with pivoting, with changing the trends, with, I don't know, building on top of the um, social medias that are always changing the rules. So, what do you think? What's your take?
I think something that's super obvious, but everybody says it and it's super important is persistence and not giving up.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you give up, you already lost the chance. But apart from that, I think it's optimism, liking what you do. Because often in social media, if you watch outside SaaS in the business world, let's say, and the gurus, they'll say you can build anything, just to be profitable and stuff like that. But when I asked most people in SaaS, they always told me that you need to do something that you like, because maybe you'll build it for 10 years, and if you don't like it, you'll quit after one. So you'll not see the result of compound interest. So I think those are two qualities that every founder has, apart from respect, helping others,
Hmm.
humility. I think it's really important, because if you're arrogant, you can continue for 3-4 years, but in the end, people will avoid you. So that's not
Hmm.
a real success. And I think all the founders I met are good people, and people that you'll want to have as friends, or colleagues, or yeah, people that you can count on. So I think you need
Okay.
to be a good person first.
Right. Yeah, maybe. I think I agree with you. Like, if you're, yeah, if you're just doing it for the money, for it's yeah, maybe it's not a very good long-term strategy. But yeah, it's great that you mentioned, like, you have to love what you're doing. And I think at some point you have to understand, like, which part you love the most. We discussed it a few times with founders, like, and some say, well, it was fun for the first couple of years because it's just the beginning. It's very thrilling. It's exciting. Everything's new. There is a challenge every single day. And like when you have to scale it and it's a bit calmer, not so much, right? And there are others that were like, oh my God, I'm just so happy to transition into the role of like CEO, just over oversee everything, but let everyone else, enjoy the ride. So yeah, absolutely. But perseverance for sure. You
At
deal
first,
with
because you
so much
cannot.
stuff.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You cannot continue building what you started if you quit too early. So I think it's also patience. These are, let's say, common virtues, but we all run away from them. We don't want to be
Hmm.
patient. We want to get it fast as soon as possible, especially my generation, because I'm 21 years old. When I
Oh, good
joined
God.
the when I joined the Tekpon, I thought that I don't know, the most successful people were the egotistical ones, the ones that thought about themselves and put money first and stuff like that. And Alex, let's say, showed me the real world, not just the marketing of the gurus, or selling courses on the internet. So I think, yeah, most founders are good people, and you cannot succeed without being a good person and helping people.
how do you how do you choose the founders? Well, since we started talking about relationships, how do you choose the founders? How do you prepare for the podcast? I mean, I've been there. I know a little bit of how you work and how you prepare your questions, but yeah, how do you communicate that with founders? And um, if there is a good story, but maybe a bit of a sensitive one, how do you do that?
Okay, so how do we should how do you choose the founders at first?
Yeah,
Uh,
first, yeah.
okay, there are a couple of ways, but for example, I chose because I saw you all over LinkedIn, and I saw that you get good engagement, you are helping people, you're present everywhere, and I wanted to give you a voice because you interview so
Thank
many
you.
founders. I wanted to also have your story uh, somewhere in a podcast,
Hmm.
and at first, LinkedIn is a good strategy for people that you see that want to get more exposure. You just go to them and you offer them a free podcast. Uh, they shouldn't reject you, most of them, because it's a free offering and they are looking for exposure. It's your direct target audience. But also for conferences, for example, if you meet people founders that you like, CMOs, any types of people. You can invite them to the podcast if you think they're valuable. You can also look at speakers for speaking at a conference and invite them. So I think there are multiple ways of finding valuable people. But most surprisingly, I also invited people. I know that there are some podcasters that want to hear the story before all the details, and then they
Yeah.
record the podcasts and put all that. But I saw that most of my, let's say, exciting podcasts are those that I wasn't expecting to have that story. I just knew almost nothing about the founder, just that he
Yeah.
raised the sum and that's it. And then the podcast was amazing. So I think you shouldn't judge, and you cannot judge, you cannot predict the story.
Mm.
And I think it's really important to be natural. Of course, to have a, let's say, a mini template of questions, but I try to be as natural as possible. And from my experience, the follow-up questions are the most important. For example, you asked me about podcasting, I talked about the book, and then you asked me how do you write a book, and that was a question
Yeah.
that you couldn't predict or you couldn't know before. And I think the follow-up questions are the most important. But in order to have the follow-up questions, you need the template. So it's a bit
True.
it's a bit tricky. So I think that that answers your first part of the question.
Sure.
And may you repeat the second part if there are any
Uh
stories that
yeah, if the story is sensitive, right? Like
ah
I once had an episode with a founder that I knew that, they had some troubles at the company. They never really estimated that, the economical situation will change so dramatically. They raised I think 2021, so weren't very careful about it, hired a lot of people, ended up firing them. Good story, important. Yes, absolutely. Like a lot of founders have stumbled upon it, didn't know how to manage it, didn't know how to navigate this with the team.
mm,
Absolutely important to talk about, but how do you like
promote, you mean?
yeah, not really promote. It's really easy to promote. It's a problem. It's there. People want to listen. But how do you make sure they talk about it and like they
I
don't
understood.
tell you because you're not recording live and I'm
Yes,
not recording live and it's very important to
make me feel
communicate that
comfortable. Yeah,
and like I always tell founders if at any point of the podcast you feel like you're not comfortable, please tell me, I'll
yes,
just move on to the next question. No problem,
yes,
right? We're not here to interrogate you. We're not here to
yes,
not make friends, right?
yes,
So I was very open about it. I told him, here's what I want to ask. If you're open to talk about it, we'll do. If not, then no. So how do you, yeah, if there is something like this in your case,
yeah.
do you push for it?
If there's a story that I already know, I ask typically before the podcast, hey, can we also talk about this subject? And they
Mm,
say yes or no, and then we can continue. But as I said, most of the times I'm not that familiar with the background story, and I think
mm-hmm.
that has its positives because it's a natural curiosity, and you find out it's your reaction, your first time reaction, and you hear the story.
Yeah.
And I think how you make the guest comfortable. For us, for example, we at first talk about the product, the features, the pricing, the integrations, use cases, customers, then about the
Mm-hmm.
company, and then about the person. So I think
Yeah.
giving that time and that trust, and maybe laughing a bit, uh, getting something in common, and lastly, leaving the personal story last is
Mm-hmm.
also helpful. Because if you start a podcast and you say hello everyone, what is your story? He's like, my story is, and he wouldn't be that comfortable
Yeah.
sharing all the stuff. So I think that helps, but I may be wrong. I'm not. We're constantly testing stuff, but yeah,
Right,
that
right.
was my
No, but
comment.
you still prepare. I mean, even with me, right? You sent me some questions beforehand. I mean, it's also very new for me to be on the other side of the
Yeah,
podcast. So, I asked for it, right? Um, but usually, how long does it take to prepare for you? What
not that
was your
long.
shortest? What was your longest?
Longest probably around 30 minutes. Shortest probably around 15 minutes. So anywhere between
Okay.
that. But I typically share the questions only with the people that ask. So
Mm,
if they're not comfortable, if they want to prepare better, I totally understand. I share the questions. it's not like something that I can change, or I can force them. No, you'll appear on the podcast and you
Yeah.
will not know anything about it. So that depends on the guest. There are some entrepreneurs that are like going only forward and not thinking about anything. I'll just be
Yeah.
on, just send me the scheduling and I'll talk about anything with no fear. But
Yeah,
again, it depends on
absolutely.
the person, so it's not like one is good and one is bad.
All
Yeah.
right. I think for me, the long is like the one that I stressed so much just because I knew that, he's been around for what, I don't know, longer than you lived, for sure.
Okay.
David Henneman Hansen.
Okay.
And like I knew that he's very open about his opinions. He talks a lot on podcasts. This is his strategy. And he's a very technical founder also, which I am nowhere near, right? And I thought, oh my God, I will be destroyed. Like if I ask a question just like out of the blue and he replies and requires a follow up, right? It wouldn't make any sense without a follow up. Then I'll just crumble. That will be it. That it will be the most horrible podcast I've ever done. So
But I think
I think,
that's
yeah,
the benefit of doing it recorded and not live, because you
yeah,
can make founders feel more comfortable. And as you said, I also mentioned to them, hey, this is recorded. If you want to cut anything, modify, not answer, just let me know. This is not a competition to make you look bad, like let's say
yeah.
other
No, no.
podcast or where you do it live. I just want to help you. I want to build a good relationship. I want to help promote you and your product. So we're here to help each other, not uh, interrogating.
Right, that's true. So I think with him, I stressed it so much. I ended up like just going through all his recent blogs and like his
Wow,
posts, and I think
wow,
I spent like 2 days straight just like preparing for this podcast.
wow.
And yeah, but I felt a lot more comfortable, and I think I don't know, he probably always feels comfortable on a podcast because he's done like 1,000 of them,
Wow.
um, but still. And I think the shortest, oh, I have to be honest, I once came like completely unprepared. Like I knew the company and I knew the founder, but I still like to dedicate like maybe, like you said, maybe at least 15 minutes to just like
Yeah,
be present.
yeah.
Um, wasn't a bad podcast, like surprisingly.
Passion is key, but you also have to be flexible and yeah, talk about something that you didn't explain, because you cannot find the story online or what
Yeah.
they're launching, and I think
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
it's important to have that mix.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if there is a story already online, like why would you want to talk about it, especially if it's been, highlighted a lot. Um, but yeah, since we started talking about like what founders are talking about, um, do you see any trends? Like, what's everybody maybe stressing about, or what's everybody looking for? What's everybody using? What's is AI something everybody talks about in your case, or I don't know, people are not that interested? Like, I saw this post that said maybe just like 3 months ago, everyone said that by the end of summer, all the SaaS businesses will be wiped out by AI and like replicated and blah blah blah. And that never happened, so you have to be very skeptical and chill about the trends.
Yes.
So yeah, so what do you see? What do founders talk about when they come to your podcast?
The thing is that as a podcast guest, you get some key insights that you shouldn't and you couldn't get somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a real conversation. Even if a listener listens to all your podcasts, he still wouldn't digest all the knowledge that you have. So I often have times when a founder speaks about PLG or programmatic SEO, and then I'm after the podcast in 1 minute, I'm to my team, guys, we need to do programmatic SEO because I just had this founder on the podcast and we we absolutely need to do it. It's an opportunity. How shall we start? Some trends. I think reimagining, rethinking about pricing is a real trend.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of guests on the podcast with experts in pricing, or from companies like Pedal, which specialize in pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of SaaS businesses are rethinking the way that pricing works. And doing it maybe customizable. AI is really a trend. We just had a
Yeah.
roundtable. Also do roundtables. It's like 80 guests podcast
Hmm.
with a host, and we had the subject of content marketing. We brought in 7 content marketers, and we let them talk. And in 1 hour and a half,
And
they talked about.
and it's still going on. They're still talking.
Yeah. It will be published tomorrow, but it was a real insightful conversation. So I think it depends on who you're talking to. For us, let's say the main target persona is the CEO, but not necessarily.
Hmm.
So we also like to hear stories from CMOs, salespeople, people in HR. It doesn't really matter. Just that the person is willing to share the story, and yeah, everyone has a different perspective on the company, on the growth strategies, on what worked, what didn't work, their stories.
Sure.
Uh, I think
Yeah.
PLG is a real trend. AI is a trend, and social selling. You need to double down on that, and I think you're doing it amazing.
Thank you. But yeah, absolutely. Like that's why we started doing AMAs, right? Because with a podcast, yeah, it's usually personal story and like you can absolutely learn from that, but you cannot like replicate it in a way, right? There is still a lot of like personal stuff going on. It's the personality of the founder, it's like their life situation at the moment. Everything kind of just pitches in. And AMAs we started because we saw some trends. Like, for example, a lot of technical founders are talking about inability to maybe figure out marketing in the first stages. So we started talking about that. We have one next week about
Okay,
marketing, right? So we try to bring one of us, somebody from saas.group, because obviously like we want to showcase that we're doing that for companies that we acquire, right? We have the knowledge, we have the expertise, we can talk about it, and then we bring somebody else. Like again, next week we have Rachel Whitehat, who's the VP of marketing at Chart Mogul, and
great.
you know, last week I want to say no, absolutely not. A couple of weeks ago, um, we had Tobias Gunther from Tower, one of our brands. Now he's doing his master classes about remote work and mindful work. And we talked about burnout because, again, it's something, it's a pressing issue. It's one of the topics at the track that I'm curating at Code Talks conference here in Hamburg. So, not a lot of people are willing to talk about it, but when they do, we want to communicate that because hey, like it's difficult enough to do it alone.
You're also flexible on guests, right? Choosing anybody from a company basically on what trends you see, what stories would you like to hear, not necessarily only the founder, right?
So we kind of differentiated a little bit. So
Okay,
the podcast stays for the founders,
okay.
right? I do make a few exceptions, right? So for example, okay, this is going to be very very pushing, but we started talking about it, and I really want to get the president of Paddle on the podcast. Like we thought that it could be a good idea, and we communicated with him about it. So not a
Christian, right?
founder. Sorry.
Christian, right?
No, Jimmy.
Okay. Not a
Yeah,
founder.
not a founder.
Okay,
So yeah, not a founder, but it's still a great story. They're
absolutely.
pushing a lot of new stuff. They're growing. There is a new strategy going on. Yeah. So for the podcast, still makes sense. For AMAs, no, absolutely not. It's a completely different approach. So in this case, it could be both, right? It could be maybe I don't know, former founder. Like Toby is a former founder, right? But he has deeper knowledge in something else, right? There's again next week's example. Rachel is a VP of marketing, and before that we had our MA with M&A team. Oh god, that's too complicated to say. So with M&A team from saas.group, like I
Mhm.
said, we try to bring our
Yeah,
people. And then we had Paul Kelly from acquire.com because like hey, they're doing such an incredible job, right? They're helping so many founders sell.
Yes.
We acquired one of the companies with their help, and we couldn't have been happier about it.
Wow.
They're with us, the founders with us, and we want them to stay longer. Hello, Peter. So yeah, and so AMA is kind of like following these trends, right? So it was burnout, it was sometimes confusion about how M&A is done, it's growth for B2B SaaS. So yeah, there we bring different people, but the podcast kind of stays, or I'm trying to keep it there.
I understand. And you said that you recently organized an event for all the companies in your portfolio.
Well, yeah, sure, for our portfolio too. Like we have this annual retreat and it was absolutely incredible. We went to Barcelona. We're now almost 250 people. We announced 2 more acquisitions there.
Wow.
Um,
Congratulations.
so thank you. It was great to meet with everybody, to talk to the founders who were like fresh out of the oven. They just signed with us, and it was absolutely incredible for my job too. Because every time you try to like understand a little bit more, like why they're selling, how they're doing it, what was the bumps on the road, potentially, but also. Yeah, we did events. Like if we're talking about events, what we do is we did our first one in May in Hamburg, here where I'm right now. So we try to like wherever we already have like some kind of event. Like for example, in Hamburg it was OMR, and Toby Schlotke is one of the co-founders of OMR, who obviously like tries to kind of bring some kind of collaboration between two. And we did an event here for SaaS founders. We invited them to our beautiful boat, did a
Amazing.
couple of workshops here. Yeah, so we're kind of like building a community for SaaS founders, again, like sharing knowledge, making sure, we stay in touch. And we did one last Thursday in Barcelona because we were all there. And we thought, oh my God, like so many interesting SaaS founders live in Barcelona, or we had a few coming from other cities. And Stefan Smulders actually even flown from the Netherlands with his co-founder, which we were absolutely ecstatic about. So I think it's very important, like when you're networking, right? It's a great way to like once in a while just meet and see the person behind the screen, which you guys are also doing, right? Congratulations, you became the country managers of
Yes.
saas.group.
Yes, the city leaders of saas for Bucharest. Basically, it involves doing some events here all
Mm-hmm.
year round for the SaaS community in Romania and growing the ecosystem here, plus getting some founders like Stefan flying here
Mm-hmm.
and meeting the ecosystem around. So I think this is a great opportunity for all 3 sides or more. And doing events is absolutely fantastic. We love going to conferences. We go to a conference maybe every 1-2 months on average. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's really cool that there's a competition going between the events, and founders have so many possibilities of attending, and you can maybe go to one each month and have a, let's
Mm-hmm.
say, mini workation or vacation each month. And yeah, excited to see how the process of doing an event works. We're looking to bring around 100 people to the first Astok local in Bucharest
Mm-hmm.
on the 1st of November. So really excited to see how hard it is or easy it is to organize an event with people in person, not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
podcasting or a round table.
Yay. Okay, well, so we're expecting an invite for sure.
Sure.
Thank you. But yeah, I think it's obviously easier if you're there. Like, for example, I had to manage to a certain extent both of these events. One in Hamburg, I was living in Istanbul, and one in Barcelona, I'm living now in Vietnam. So it was absolutely great to have somebody there. So Tim Hikes, our CMO, took over the Hamburg event when I obviously wasn't coming. And Jan Brinkman, our great friend, an investor, helped immensely in Barcelona. Like I wouldn't be able to do it alone. So yeah, if you're there, I think it should be a lot easier. But still, yeah, I could definitely feel that there are a lot of challenges, a lot like bringing so many people together. And I mean, we only brought together around 30 people. For you, it will be 100. Good luck.
Thank you very much. But how did you brand the conference? What was the event's name? Or it was just something not public?
So yeah, we call it internally SaaS Connect.
Okay.
So you see the pattern there, right? We have
saas.group
saas.group,
and yes.
saas.unbound, saas.connect.
Yes.
Yes. So we're kind of just trying to take them over, all of them. So yeah, we're doing them. We're not organizing them publicly yet, right? It's very much uh, personal invitations.
Yes.
We see the companies, the founders that are really interesting for us, and we invite them, and we obviously expect them to be there. But we are thinking about expanding a little bit, keeping them smaller on a smaller scale because we also want to be able to engage with everybody.
Yes.
Because, well, sure, we like to grow a community and we like to network, but any networking event should somehow lead to an acquisition. This is what we do, right? So yeah, we try to make sure that we're there not just to talk, but like see the lay of the land and like how everyone's thinking about a possible sale, preferably to us. So yeah.
I understand. I understand. How do you choose the founders that are looking to sell, but you're not sure that they want to sell to you? Or
So that happens again. That's a very just a personal touch that we add there. Dirk Salmer, our head of origination, is doing an incredible job. He's the best ever talking one on one to founders. He always finds, the most flexible way to communicate. But like obviously, yeah, sometimes they're just not ready or maybe want to see a bit more of what we do, how we do it.
okay.
So if we're talking about like the requirements, then right now we're moving away, like I said, from only bootstrap companies. If companies have raised money, that's totally fine. And again, we did it because we had such a great experience with it. And because we started noticing that sometimes founders would not really be confused, but like ask us, because you guys are talking about acquiring bootstrap companies. We're not really bootstrapped. So should we not be there?
Yes.
Absolutely not.
I
Right?
understand.
We are trying to approach more companies and buy bigger fish.
Of course.
So yeah, it's from 1 to 10 million ARR, PLG preferred. We're very founder friendly, team friendly, so we love when they're staying. But the only like hard requirement is profitability. Everything else we can work around.
Yeah, I know you mentioned this on the podcast that you are really flexible, but this is a must and it's totally understandable.
Yeah, if you could share maybe a hack to networking that always helps you, like how to approach founders, how to stay in touch, how to make sure that it's not just staying in touch. It's leading somewhere. It's going further to maybe some potential opportunities, partnerships, collaborations. How do you do it? How do you maintain these relationships?
I think at the very start of it is the mindset of giving to others and helping others uh, via LinkedIn, let's say, commenting on their posts, liking, thinking of ways to help them, but also in
Hmm.
person when listening to their stories, giving some advice, making some intros, and basically offering without any expectations. I think this is
Hmm.
the thesis of everything that starts with good networking, humility, and giving to others. And for maintaining, I think just being a good person, also growing yourself, because if you cannot offer value, you're not wanted. Obviously, you have to offer something in order to
Hmm.
have this relationship to be a mutually beneficial one. So give, and then ask. I think that is it. I haven't found a way of working otherwise, but maybe other people know of asking and negotiating and then offering a bit. But for me personally, I haven't found that way, so I'm still 100% starting with giving to others without expectations.
Right. Oh no, I mean, if you find those people who are just asking and like getting it, send them my way. I really want to talk to them because
Yeah, it would be easier.
sure.
Yeah, but no, it
Um,
doesn't. It doesn't
yeah,
work.
but it's just so rewarding as well, right? Like this is what um like for example, even like at saas group, I'm focusing on saas group. Like it's this is my domain, this is what I do. Uh but sometimes when I see that there is absolutely a great chance to promote another brand, to give a founder or a CEO an opportunity for some kind of publicity, go into other podcasts, I will absolutely do everything to get it for them, and then push them to do it.
Absolutely,
Because,
absolutely. You cannot succeed otherwise. I think. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm only 21, but I'm just sharing the things
Oh
I learned
God,
from.
don't say that again. I feel old, but yeah, it's great. It's great to see what you're doing at such a young age. My absolute respect. I think you're getting such a great experience.
Thank you very
Um,
much.
but yeah, well, Christian, it's great talking with you. I think you've got, like I said, an amazing experience talking to founders. Thank you for sharing your hacks, sharing your ways. We'll definitely stay in touch, and hopefully, um, I get to self stock at some point. Not this year. No.
Absolutely. Just let us know. So we'll be happy to help you with anything that you need. And yeah, I'm sure we'll stay in touch. We're both trying to help others on LinkedIn, and it says in our engagement. That's why we get the popular posts, because we're talking about others, not about ourselves. So promoting others is one way of promoting yourself. Yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Well,
Thank you
again,
very much.
thank you for being here, and take care.
Thank you.